Hi, this is Casey Truby. I'd like to talk to you about the most effective advertising method I know of. And this is going to surprise you. Now, if you were as old as I am, you'll remember back in the 1960s, everybody used this. But today, you can't find anyone that talks about it at all. And here's what it is. Direct mail. A personalized, long direct mail letter. I send out anywhere between 5,000 and 10,000 letters every single week. Now, let me tell you why. Because no one else does it. Everybody's worried about being online and using the internet, and that's good stuff. We'll talk about that in the future. But when's the last time that you got a letter addressed to you, and when you opened it up, your name was in the letter, and maybe something about what your business or your location or something personalized about you, and then signed by the person that sent it to you? I got to tell you something. This works. How many times have you gotten that kind of a sales letter in your own mail over the last couple of months? My guess is probably never. You get a lot of junk mail, folders and flyers and postcards with a lot of 4-color big. But the old-fashioned long sales letter is absolutely the most unique thing you can send out today. And everybody can do this who can identify their customers. But who can't identify their customers? Now, I sell to accountants. That's really easy. There's 110,000 accountants in America. I can go to InfoUSA and download the list, and I know exactly who to target to. And when I'm selling our document management or paperless system to businesses in San Diego or Wyoming or Los Angeles, I know exactly who the profile is, so I can send a letter. But what if you're a convenience store? How do you send out direct mail then? Well, actually, that's not nearly as tough as you think. I know in the convenience store associations, they tell you the profile of who comes to a convenience store, that they're usually younger people. So here's all you need to do. You can go to a mailing list house and say, I want the carrier route residence of everybody that's within 1 mile of where I'm located that fits this parameter. And now you can send those people letters inviting them to come to your store. These letters are so personal and so unique that people will walk in and talk to you about it. I hear this all the time from businesses that know this little secret. Send out long direct mail letters. And how long can you use? Well, sometimes I've sent out sales letters 30 pages long. I just sent one this morning, 16 pages. Now, you may not need to do that, but the point that I wanted to make is people read long sales letters. And so how do you write it? That's the big thing. It's a conversation. Here are the things we're doing. This is why we'd like to help you. This is where we think we're better than our competitor. This is how or why you should do business with us. And here's how to do business with us. It's a real simple process because it would just be as if you were explaining to your spouse why somebody should do business with you. Because you know you're comfortable with them. You know they're not going to laugh at you or challenge you on everything you say. So sit down one day with a tape recorder and just explain to your spouse why somebody should do business with us. Every 400 words will make a 2-page letter, and that'll be about 5 minutes. Unless you're like me and you can talk at 200 words a minute with a gust up to 700. So there you have it. That's your letter. And if you mail merge this, and what mail merge means, put their name and address at the top. If you can put something personal in there, like in Topeka County, or something about businesses around the Swartz Creek area, then it's more meaningful. Sign it with a blue felt tip pen. And all this can be hired out, by the way. All of these tips and techniques that we'll give you on how to double your business over the next year are designed for someone else to do the work. When we get a project or an opportunity comes in, I never ask, how am I going to do it? I always ask, who is going to do this one? Because it's so easy off payroll labor. It's so easy to hire people from home that want to do all these jobs for you now that it doesn't make any sense to sit around and wonder why you don't have business when there's low cost opportunities to get work done that's important. So I send out low cost letters and I try to target them and I mail merge them. And I always put an ugly stamp on it. You know, a few years ago, some of you that remember this, when the Elvis stamp came out, they had a big contest at the post office. Should we use the early Elvis where he's rocking his hips? Or do we go to the older Elvis where he's in Las Vegas trying to dip all the sweat off his forehead? And I wanted the old Elvis. I wanted the old Elvis because that stamp was ugly. And people open mail with a stamp. The letter shop will try to talk you into using a machine, and I will say it won't make any difference. But a big ugly stamp is the best. And if you can't do 1,000 or 10,000 a week like I do, then just do 100. As a matter of fact, this might be a great way to pay your kids. One of the things you'll hear me often say is to put your children on payroll early and set them up with an IRA account. From the time my children were born, I paid them $5,000 a year because after their $2,000 IRA contribution, they didn't have to pay income tax on the first 3, and that sucked money right out of the top of my bracket. It was sweet, and you can still do that. So send out direct mail. Now you have a list, you remember from last week, of all your current and past customers. Of course, you're going to mail them a letter, but add to that the people that you would like to do business with. And if you don't want to do mass mailings because you're afraid of the cost and maybe nobody will respond, then just pick the 100 people that you'd like to do business with the most. I mean, if you got one of these 100, it would make a big impact on your life. And start sending just to that group. Just to that group alone. You're going to be shocked at the kind of response you get because people read long sales letters. Now, what about breaking even? How much will it cost? Will you get response? You always hear these people say things like, well, I get a 2% response. No, you won't. No, you won't. If I send out 10,000 letters, I'll be lucky to get 20 people to respond on 10,000 letters. You know what I look for? Break even. Is the first sale that came back in generating enough gross profit to cover the cost of my advertising? And anytime I can do any advertising that breaks even on the first sale, I am tickled pink. I call that my how much are you gladly willing to spend to buy a new customer. I know what a customer's worth. And let's take, for example, one of my companies, my document management company, for example. I know that a new customer is going to generate about $1,200 a year in profit for me. How much am I willing to happily spend to get that $1,200 a year net profit out of that customer? Happily. I'll spend $300 to $500, not even blink an eye, because I know I'm going to have them for years and years and years. So if I can get that first letter to break even, I'm tickled pink, and from then on, they're my customer. So direct mail works. First thing I can recommend from video 1, get a house list together and make sure you start touching all the people you've done business with in the last 2 or 5 or 10 years. Second thing, target your best prospects with a long direct mail letter, hand signed, ugly stamp, be consistent, send it out to them over and over. I send to my customers 12 times a year. And you want to hear something else amazing? It's almost always the same letter. Yeah, I got a good one, it works. And so I don't have to do a lot of work changing it up. After the second or third one, I suppose they don't read it, but you know what? They knew it was from me and they know how to find me. My business card's in the letter if they've got to call me. Sometimes I throw a little magnet in there for the refrigerator or something so they can find me easily. But this little bitty effort of sending out even just 100 letters a week to your best potential prospects will have an amazing impact on our goal of doubling your cash. This is Casey True, Lonesome Cowboy, and our whole goal here is to keep your cash register ringing. Thank you.